Caller, thanks for calling. You're on K-Talk.
How you doing?
Hey, thanks for calling. What do you have for us?
Well, okay, I called in last week.
Yes.
At the end of your show, and I was calling back regarding doing additional training.
Oh, fantastic. This is great. This is great. Okay, I am so glad you called in. I was just talking to Jim. I'm glad you called in earlier now. Because I can't tell you how many people have emailed me and said, oh, we wanted to hear more from the guy on the medical stuff and the preparedness and so on and so forth. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you're out here from, or you're not out here, well, I don't know, you're from the beautiful Southern California.
This is correct.
Is it Seal Beach? Seal Beach, right?
Correct. Todd.
All right.
Seal Beach, right.
Tell us your first name.
Todd.
All right. Hi, Todd. This is Jim and Clark, and we appreciate. Do you hear us very good down there in Seal Beach?
You know, the Internet is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, fantastic. And Seal Beach, I got to tell you, Jim, it's a cool little town. I've been there, and they utilize volunteers in their police department to their greatest potential. And I mean, they are not just. They're giving out. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're giving out parking tickets. They're giving.
No, they don't give out parking.
Oh, darn. Okay, all right.
But they they definitely do make sure that, excuse me, if you haven't paid for your parking area, that they will explain to you the good reasons why you'd want to pay $1 for parking instead of a $35 fine. So they are ambassadors.
Now, don't they free up in other ways though? Don't they free up the actual sworn to do other things?
Oh yeah, for
Isn't
sure.
Isn't it a savings to the city in that?
Huge savings. Matter of fact, we just honored a volunteer who put in 16,000 hours of volunteer hours, and I did the math on that based on like about $20 an hour. You know, so you're talking about $300 and some $1,000 of savings that person has given the city.
Wow.
Over the years.
Excellent. All right. And we appreciate that. And, you know, I'll tell you, if I had more time, I would love to get something like that started in the communities here and in around Salt Lake area. But anyway, that's not what you called to talk about. You called to talk. Well, what did you call to talk about?
Well, okay, the question I have, I'm a pretty avid shooter, and out here we do have some open space, believe it or not. We go out to the desert, and we like to plink away out there and have a good time. But one of the things that I really stress with my crew that we go out is obviously gun safety and also other medical safety aspects of going out to the desert. Specifically, you know, even just to the point of if you get bit by a scorpion, or how do we treat you and what is our plan? And so I think that a lot of people miss the boat sometimes when we talk about going to the range and making sure that we're shooting our weapons properly and making sure that we clean them after we're done and using the right ammunition for the right rifle that you're using or pistol. But we forget what happens if something goes awry.
All right, give me something. I want to get 5 different types of maladies that a person might suffer, whether they're in and around guns or out in the desert or something like that. And I want to know 5 different situations where somebody like me, without a ton of medical training, okay, I've got a big first aid kit, and I actually only fairly recently know how to use all the stuff in it now, honestly. But without a whole bucket load of training, but that they want to keep themselves and their family or the people that go out shooting with safe, what are 5 different maladies that they need to be aware of and be able to treat?
Well, one of the things that I like to talk about, is especially when it comes to any type of training, when it comes to preparedness as far as medical or whatnot, is I like to take the idea of an all-hazards approach, because you never know what you're going to go into. So if you only have 5 ideas in your head and you only bring tools for those 5, all of a sudden you don't have the ability to treat others.
I'm thinking one has got to be a gunshot wound.
Well, gunshot wound for sure.
And snake bite maybe.
Well, in the desert you got scorpions, you have ants, you have snakes. Those kind of those little critters will get into you and can bite you. And if you have any kind of allergic reaction to those, so you have your anaphylactic type of reaction. So you make sure that you have your epinephrine pen with you.
So you got your EpiPen.
EpiPen, right.
Do you have to have a prescription? Do you have to have a prescription for an EpiPen?
You have to have a prescription for an EpiPen, but if you ask your doctor for one, they're more than likely to give you that prescription without too much of a question.
Are they expensive?
I just bought one yesterday for $25.
And that's a one-use type of thing?
One-use type of thing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Continue. Sorry to keep interrupting.
So then you have strange. Then you have your strange sprains in automobiles, as I like to say. You know, you're walking through uneven ground. There's a chance that you're going to trip and fall, or you can, twist your knee or your ankle or whatever. And it really sucks to be out in the middle of the desert and have to, figure out how to get back to your base camp here, if you will, with a hurt ankle. So you want to make sure you have that type of equipment. Of course, you have your gunshot wounds.
Well, hold on. Now, what kind of equipment? Just briefly, what kind of equipment are we talking about to get you back home? Are you talking about self-rescue, or have you got somebody with you on a broken ankle?
Well, both. You should always have somebody with you. You should never go out by yourself.
Okay, all right.
Number one rule, safety. But two, things like something that's lightweight, SAM splint. They're kind of a rubberized metal thing that's really pliable. When they first came out, I really didn't like them. But after using them a few times...
And they're called what? And what are they called?
SAM. S-A-M.
SAM, like Sierra Alpha. Okay.
Michael, right.
Okay.
So the SAM splint, those are really...
And so what do they do? They position it and they correctly immobilize that item? Okay.
Correct. Yep. So you want to use some splint material. One of my favorite things that I have in my toolbox as far as medical stuff goes is I love the triangle bandage. And
a triangle bandage, the old-fashioned kind, you mean?
The old-fashioned kind.
Jim, you ever
the
used
Boy Scouts, right?
The triangle bandages? Jim does.
Yeah.
All right.
The Boy Scouts.
When I was a kid, that's all we had.
Is that was it?
Right?
That was it. Yeah. Headache?
Yeah.
Put a triangle bandage on.
Triangle bandage. Yeah, I love the triangle bandage.
All right.
That's
Now you went to gunshot. Tell me about gunshot, because I'm wondering if you're going to mention this one thing, and I want to know what you think of it. But go ahead, gunshot.
Okay. Well, gunshot. First of all, if it's just I shouldn't say but if you have something like ricochet or whatever, where you're getting a piece hitting you, the likelihood of it being really deep into you is kind of limited, but you're still going to have that surface wound. You're still going to want to get that hot piece of metal out of it.
Right.
But if, God forbid, you have some sort of malfunction on your weapon and you have, something goes a little bit deeper and you're talking about some chest wound areas, you want to be worried about the second chest wound, because that's what happens when you have a hole in your lung.
So what do you do with a sucking chest wound, which is basically a shot in the chest that penetrates the lung, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, first of all, you want to do is you want to put in a plastic-type dressing over that hole.
Like saran wrap or something?
Saran wrap will work. The MRE package, if you have one of those, your credit card on top of it will work too. You want to tape it down on 3 sides, not all 4 sides.
So you're taping it down close to the skin so that you create a seal. Is that right?
Create a seal, correct.
Okay.
Yep. You want to make sure that seal is nice and tight. You want to make sure you only do 3 sides, because if you do 4 sides, you can cause a tension pneumothorax or hemothorax.
Uh-oh.
So you want to make sure that
Nobody
you're
wants
able to breathe. So you want to keep it down on 3 sides, nice and tight.
Okay, I want to hear the next 2 when we come back, and then
hold through the news if you don't mind.
Okay, hang on.
All right, we have a break, then news on K-Talk. Clark Aposhian in. I'm Jim Kirkwood. We have an officer out of Seal Beach, California, giving us first aid information, which is good, part of Gun Talk. And it is 9:06 and a half at K-Talk. I'm Jim Kirkwood. This is K-Talk, AM 630, the voice of Utah. And, of course, we are dealing with gun talk tonight. And we have an out-of-state caller who is talking about something very important, first aid, because it can mean the difference between life and death.
Life and death.
Life and death. Yep.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Hey, quick question, though, before you go on. What's up with JetBlue and their crazy employees?
No, you know what? I'm actually, believe this or not, I was on the JetBlue website moments ago talking about my flight experience from yesterday, or actually day before yesterday, and as I flew out of Long Beach into Salt Lake, and they're all a little, I actually sat next to 2 JetBlue employees who were flying back to Salt Lake, and they're all a little different. All the JetBlue people, they're not like you and me, Jim. They're different. I think he was sitting next to his partner, but anyway, they make them clean the airplane, too. Now, listen, this may have been what drove the pilot over the edge, the one you're talking about, because rather than get up and, gather their things and head off the plane, they reached into their carry-on bags and pulled out these blue gloves, the blue, plastic, or the blue latex vinyl gloves. Yeah. And they had to start cleaning the plane because even though they were just flying standby, but because they were a JetBlue employee, they had to clean up. So,
remember the airline steward, or whatever you want to call him, the flight attendant?
Yeah.
Went crazy and drank the beer and pulled the parachute or the escape hatch and
yes.
Run on tarmac. Yeah,
don't we all feel like doing that
funny.
sometimes? Though
I thought that was funny. Personally,
we all feel like who hasn't pulled the escape hatch at one point or another?
I haven't.
But yeah, no kidding. These JetBlue folks, they're that's 2 for 2 now. I think
it's 2 for 2. Yeah. So hey, well, maybe that's one of the things they have to do. Maybe they should do some medical training to treat psychological emergencies on the airplane.
Yeah. Well, I think the one person did handle that psychological emergency by basically choking him out and causing him to pass out. So when in doubt, pass him out, I guess.
I guess that works well. Back on the medical training thing, we're talking about your top 5 or things that you should really think about. I think one thing that people forget about, especially if they're doing outside shooting, is exposure to the elements. A good example is this weekend, a friend of mine was doing a class up in Prado Dam, the Olympic shooting range, and it was pouring rain out, and they still continued their training. Now, the nice part about it was after they were done, they were able to dry off and get in their nice warm vehicles and drive home. But think about if you were decided to go out shooting in the desert this weekend and get stuck in that California cold rain. And what do you do as far as treating for hypothermia, or if it's a super hot day out, hyperthermia?
I don't want to be rude, but cold rain, you guys have no idea.
Jim.
Well,
it's all relative, Jim. It's all relative.
It is kind of relative.
Okay.
I'm from New York originally, and so I know when it's cold out.
Okay.
But in New York in August or July or in those days when it's raining, it's actually like a nice warm rain. Last time I went back to D.C., it poured rain, and that was beautiful rain out there, and I stood out in the rain and let it rain on me but out here in California, the rain's kind of chilly. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's what the weather pattern is, but you can get hyperthermia pretty quick, or hypothermia, pretty quick. You're stuck out here in the California rain. November, or even March.
Hey, it rained big time on Sunday out there.
Oh, yeah.
Did it?
Big time. Downburst, cloudburst.
Well, we need it here. Why did you take it there?
Some of it came yesterday, Jim.
No. Yeah, a little 10 drops.
Well, anyway, it was there was a ton of it there. So anyway, all right. So gunshot. Exposure. We were on exposure.
Right.
So you're with somebody and you just take their water.
Well, it's a little more than that. Especially if you're going to be out in the sun, you definitely want to make sure you're using sunscreen because the sunburn's a pain in the butt sometimes because it hurts. But it can also, if you have been out there long enough, you can get second-degree burns, which could be a life-threatening problem. Especially with fluid loss, dehydration right after that. So, that's the big deal. It's more than just drinking water. It's drinking the appropriate amount of water and also making sure that you're replacing your electrolytes if you're out there doing some heavy working out, as far as walking around the desert or walking around where you're at. And if you're burning a lot of calories, making sure that you're replacing those calories, at the end of the night. And I know you guys don't have that issue, but some boys out there like to have a few nips of alcohol, but that's a really bad thing to do if you're out in the on the desert. You want to stay away
we don't do. There's no alcohol in the state of Utah. There is none.
Completely none.
There is none. There's medicinal and there's rubbing.
I've never
there's
seen
medicinal
any.
and there's rubbing.
Have you seen some medicinal?
No, I've pictures of it.
Have you?
Yeah.
It might have been out of state.
It was that or smuggled in. They can smuggle it in.
That's true. If you had a big load of something, you could hide it underneath.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, so just on the other hand there, the other thing you want to stay away from, too, and I know that you don't participate in that either, is your caffeine right there. So you want to stick away from those caffeinated drinks as well.
Okay, now you're the person that emailed me, and I happen to have gone on to a website. I don't know if you have anything. Bear Flag Trading Co.
Yes.
No, bearflagtrading.com. Bearflagtrading.com.
Yeah.
And Jim, do you know how we were talking about preppers the other day? In fact, we've been talking about preppers almost after every show, except for the last 2 shows. Preppers, preparation folks.
What the History Channel is doing, yes.
And Bear Flag Trading does has all the medical and the gun stuff and the bug out bags and the everything. I don't know. Did they sell stuff on this thing? Is it just information? Is it?
Well, it has a couple of different things. It does sell. There is a store if you want to purchase things on there. But there's also the cool part about it too is that there's the ability to go onto the classifieds, kind of like Craigslist, and you can trade gear and sell stuff.
That's what I looked at. I thought it was pretty cool, but it's just bearflagtrading.com. And, I mean, I know you don't do anything necessarily with it, but it's a good resource. And it's good to have good resources that have been checked out, right, Jim?
Absolutely.
I'm looking at it right now. Instafire. See, I don't know why my eyes went right to that. Instafire, Jim. See, that's instant fire.
Well,
fire, yeah.
If you were cold, that would be good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, instant fire.
But
even if you were just bored, though, think about it. If you were bored, you're out in the middle of nowhere, you've got food, you've got shelter, but no TV, no internet, but you have an instant fire thing. Who wouldn't just break that open and start messing with it?
I would, yes, clearly.
It's a cool product.
Yeah.
Yes.
What does it do? Other than
I looked at the video on that, and it's has like lava rock and some other kind of stuff in there, and you just put like a quick little match to it, and you have fire. And there's no chemicals or anything else that you have to bring with you. It's nothing else. It's just that right there. So that'd be really good to put into if you bought some of that and threw that in your bug out bag or in your car, just in case you get into you're stuck out there, especially you guys out there in Utah, where they claim, and I haven't done this yet, but the product claims that you can start it on snow.
Interesting. Well, it probably used the bag or something. Hey, and then before we have to let you go, I'm looking at one other little item on this, and it says it's got an article here, making 223 bullets from 22 long rifle brass. So Jim's ears just perked up when we said 22 long. So we're talking actually making 223 bullets, the projectiles, from 22 long rifle brass.
Right, cool article.
I haven't looked at it, but I'm going to. And I can't. And we'll have to get a report back. We'll have to try some of that, Jim, because you can get me some 22 long rifle brass, Jim.
I have plenty.
And I gotta look into that.
So what do you
cool.
do?
I don't know. I don't
know.
The
bullet out and put a bigger 223 shell in, or powder, and a heavier grain bullet.
See, Jim, you're asking me these questions, and I don't.
Well, you brought the topic up.
I know that. All I did was see the topic on this thing. And,
yeah, you gotta read the article.
And so, what? Do you know about it, Todd?
I read the article. Yeah, that was an article that was submitted to us, and that we.
And so, do you have to melt down the brass, or what do you have to do?
Yeah, it looks like there's a way to manipulate the brass so you can make it into a bullet. So it's like a hasty type thing. But
so this is a prepper. This is a prepper type thing, then.
Prepper type thing, all right?
Okay, all right. See, Jim, look at that.
Excellent.
See, so you could have your 22 long rifle and shoot those up, and then give me the empty brass, and then I could shoot the big gun.
There we go.
So we got that going. We got that going for us.
Good use of resources.
All right, Todd. Thank you very much.
You got your Instafire.
Is there something? Did we leave out anything that you wanted to say? I hate to just cut you off.
No, I mean the big thing too is like if you wherever you take your training, I just really recommend that you guys go out and get some medical training underneath it, because I mean my thing is I mean I would really
get this? Where do you get this medical training from, though?
Well, I mean, you can go to Bear Flag Trading, and they have some medical training on there. And they
you
will
mean
travel.
on videos or something, or are there people that you go to?
That's an actual classroom. That's an actual classroom class. But
well, they have paramedic training here. Would that be good?
Yeah, that would be good. That's a long time. That's about national standards, about 150 hours right now. So,
Jim, I'm not sitting around for 150 hours to learn how to put a Band-Aid on and
right. But you could
shove
do
some Saran wrap over a sucking chest wound.
But you don't do anything
what I do recommend,
anyway.
What I do recommend, however, is that if you're going to do the training, not to take the basic first aid class. I mean, that's good, but I would say find yourself a wilderness outdoor medicine type class, and that's where you're going to be able to get that training to be able to sustain life for a longer period of time.
I want to jump right to the suturing, because that's what I want to do, is suture stuff.
Well, if you ever come out to California, I will teach you how to suture.
Really?
Don't.
All right, cool.
Teach
I'm going to
him,
suture stuff.
because he'll want to practice on me.
I'm going to be suturing. I'm going to be suturing. Oh, Jim, look at that big. In fact, I do have a big old nice knife right here, which if things went south, Jim would need suturing for. So
Yeah, you go to the Bear Flag
thank goodness
Training
I would
website.
have learned it. So, anyways,
No
thank
problem,
you, Todd.
medical training.
Okay.
Thank you,
guys,
Todd.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
You guys have a wonderful day.
Call again. We love your calls.
Bye.